Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Bud's Hot Sports Takes. As you may have guessed it, I'm Bud. With football season here, we will be giving you the scoop of leaders from last week, where the current leader standings are, and as well some suggestions on who your fantasy players and fantasy daily sports people who play like DraftKings and FanDuel should be picking for Sunday. Now, without further ado, your Week 6 passing leaders are Baker Mayfield with 325 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 323 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jared Goff, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith, 312 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Week 6 rushing leaders. Sean Tucker with 136 yards, 1 touchdown. Derek the King Henry, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 113 yards. Najee Harris, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyler Algier, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Week 6 receiving leaders. Zay Flowers with 132 yards. Chris Godwin with 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Alan Lazard, 114 yards and 1 touchdown. And his teammate, Garrett Wilson, with 107 yards and 1 touchdown as well. Now, your season leaders in those categories, minus any player on the Saints and the Broncos, as they played an extra game so far, having played Thursday, are as follows. Passing, Dak Prescott. Passing, not Dak, sorry. Geno Smith with one. Dak Prescott will be on the list, but he's just not there. He's just not the leader. Geno Smith, 1,778 yards, 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Brock Purdy, 1,629 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And third, Dak Prescott. Now Dak Prescott with 1,602 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Kirk Cousins, 1,598 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And Joe Burrow with 1,578 yards, 12 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Rushing, Derek the King Henry still on top with 704 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Jordan Mason in second still with 609 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chuba Hubbard with 485 yards, 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 482 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Josh Jacobs with 464 yards, 1 touchdown. Receiving, Nico Collins with 567 yards, 3 touchdowns. Still on injured reserve. That's right. This guy, he's still at number 1. And basically he has now missed 1.5 weeks. And he is still in the top spot. Now, granted, he's only in the top spot, as you're about to see, by 2 yards. But still, he's missed a week and a half due to injury. Still in first. Like, let's give it up for that guy. I mean, that just shows how amazing his season had been going prior to injury there. Jamar Chase, 565 yards, 5 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 511 yards and also 5 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 469 yards, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 467 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Now, the moment you all have been waiting for. Who do you pick for your teams come Sunday? Quarterback, Jaden Daniels. If you can afford to pick him, grab him. He comes with an extremely high price in both DraftKings and FanDuel, but for good reason. Not only, of course, is he obviously his team's passing leader, he is ninth in passing yards in the NFL, leading the league in completion percentage with a 75.3% completion rate. Has a good passing touchdown to interception rate with 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But he is also second on his team in rushing yards by just 3 yards and has 4 rushing touchdowns to go along with it. If that isn't enough, he is going against the Carolina Panthers defense this week, which ranks as one of the worst overall defenses in the league this year and is near last in both passing defense and rushing defense. I expect Jaden Daniels to score 30-plus fantasy points this week. Honorable mention is Sam Darnold. And yes, he isn't throwing his arm off, as he is just ranked 22nd in the league in yards. And, his team is 5-0. But ranked 22nd in the league in passing yards, but he is picking up the slack in the scoring department with 11 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. And in this week, he's going against the Detroit Lions, who just lost their star defensive end and current NFL sack leader in Aiden Hutchinson due to injury last week. The lack of pressure from him is going to take time for them to find out how to compete on defense without the pressure for mistakes that he brought to the team. This should be a good week to grab Sam Darnold, and he is a cheap get. You can get him for cheap. Running back, Tony Pollard. He is cheap. He does know how to find the end zone, and the Buffalo Bills have a low mid-range defense when it comes to stopping the run this year. Also, the Tennessee Titans are boasting the best pass protection in the league so far this year, and 3 in best defense against the run. So the game should either be close or a good lead for the Titans. In either scenario, Pollard should be getting his touches this game. Chuba Hubbard. Yet again, the guy is still one of the cheapest running backs you can pick up as far as starters go, and is third in the league in yards. Yes, he is on the Panthers, and I see the Panthers getting blown away this week, which usually means do not grab that running back, because in a blowout, he isn't getting to run the ball. But in this case, there is no one really who can throw the ball, and if there is no one to throw it to, so you still have to rely on Hubbard's legs anyway. Honorable mention, Tyler Algier. And yes, I know, picking a running back 2 is a risky move, especially when running back 1 is as young and touted prospect-wise as running back 1, Bijan Robinson. But the coach listened to Kirk Cousins last week when in halftime he said, I like it when we run the ball. And they managed the game and mostly ran the second half. And it did open up the game for the sprinkled and pass plays when Cousins decided to throw. Both running back one and running back two did a great job getting a bunch of yards and a score. But Algier, aka running back two, did get the better of it, showing yes, don't forget, you can trust me to do my job. And this week, they're going against the Seattle Seahawks, who have a tough secondary and a weak rushing defense. So expect a similar game plan this week on the Falcons saying, hey, we are going to run the ball down your throat with both backs. Wide receiver. Malik Neighbors, his price has come down between missing 2 weeks and coming back from an injury. And just never know how a guy is going to respond on the field after an injury. In this case, though, given his sheer target usage and yardage, I say it's a safe bet to go here. Being out 2 weeks, he has fallen from 2nd to 14th in the league in yards, and from leading the league in targets to falling to the 9th. And in 4 games he has got to play, he has 3 touchdowns on the year. So you are getting to pick him up for a bargain compared to before the injury. He's going to get receptions for you, which score you points. He's going to get you yardage, and he has a good chance to get you to score you an additional 6 points for picking up a touchdown. So a really good pick and not an expensive one. Tyler Lockett. And I know you have to be thinking, if you're going to pick a Seahawk, then why on earth are you picking Lockett over DK Metcalf? And you have every right to question that. If they were the same price tag, I would be right there with you for you. But Metcalf is one of the most expensive wide receivers to pick up this week. And Lockett, you're getting at wide receiver 2 prices in FanDuel and DraftKings, even though he is performing still better than some of the wide receiver 1s in the league. Also, his entire long career. Yes, long career. So you can trust that, hey, that's not a small sample size, and, it's just these teams or guys getting lucky. His entire long career, he has made a career out of being the guy you can trust in key need, a first down or a touchdown situation. So even though the Falcons have been a mid-high in toughness on defense in the passing game, this is a pick I feel comfortable and good about. Terry McLaurin, again, this week. And what did listening to me last week get you? Got you about 20 fantasy points is what it got you. He is still a cheap option to grab in DraftKings and FanDuel. And if you remember who I said I would pick up if you can afford it at the quarterback position this week, Jaden Daniels. Well, that accurate rookie quarterback, that's McLaurin's QB. I don't see him getting a lot of work this week, as his quarterback does like to take off with the ball, but scoring opportunities and such a weak defense, the times he does get to touch the ball, he's going to do something special with it. So the few times he does get the ball thrown to him, he's going to make those times count. Honorable mention, keep an eye on Devontae Adams. And if the Jets decide to suit him up, that's why you're going to want to keep an eye on him to see if they say, yes, we're suiting him up and he's playing. He is extremely cheap and just got traded to the Jets. And we all know Devontae Adams is elite. And he will be back teamed up with a great quarterback who he already has a lot of rapport with, as we will be back with Aaron Rodgers again, which from 2016 to 2021, he was a high target, high yardage touchdown machine for Rodgers. So with them being teamed up again, having that rapport, if they suit him up, And Devontae Adams is cheap in both DraftKings and FanDuel this week. Uh, grab him, pick him up, put him in your lineup. But there's a chance they may set him out, so that's why he's on the honorable mention. Keep a lookout. Tight end Sam Laporta. He is starting to look healthy again. He was having some health issues, and he was staying on injury status, though he was playing, but just playing hurt. No injury designation. He's looking healthy again. And the young tight end last year put up almost 1,000 yards and put up 10 touchdowns to go with it. So he is back in form to do some damage. He is going to get looks from Goff this week as they go against the high-scoring, unbeaten Vikings. And given his price tag of 6th when it comes to tight ends and the usage he should be getting this week, I say roll the dice on him. Honorable mention, Brock Bowers. Again, this rookie tight end keeps saying, hey, I don't care how many they want to put on me, throw it my way, and I will catch it for you. And then he does it. Last week, he caught 9 of 10, being double and triple teamed for most of the game, and still picked up over 70 yards. And yes, 9 receptions does score you points. You get points for receptions. FanDuel, you get half a point per reception. So that's 4.5 points plus every 10 yards is a full point. So it's every yard is 0.1 point. So another 7. So there was no touchdowns, there. So that scored you 11.5 points, in FanDuel. Yeah, DraftKings was even better because DraftKings, they give you a full point for receptions, and you score the same amount for yardage. So that scored you 16. And now without Devontae Adams, who else does the Raiders really have to throw to? They really don't have anyone else to throw to. So that's really your only option. So yeah, he's not cheap, but if you got the cap space to grab him, do it. Defense. Go cheap this week and grab the Giants. Between a sack-happy defense and pass-deflecting kings that they are, they have a strong pass defense. Now, the Eagles do have Saquon Barkley, and this defense is giving up 5.2 yards per rushing attempt. So, if they decide to run, this pick might not net you a lot of points. But the potential is here, and at a super cheap rate. Honorable mention. Again, we're going to Commanders. They're honorable mention. They're playing the Panthers, which other than Hubbard, it seems like they got no one on the team stepping up. And Hubbard is getting a lot of yardage, but that isn't scoring points. So the points he is bringing for his yardage isn't hurting the defense that you'd be picking. And the Panthers have scored 10 or less points in half of their games so far this year. So not only is the Commanders a decent defense, but they are going against a team that has normal scoring problems anyway. And low scoring game by the other team gives you free points, even if you don't pick up sacks or interceptions, fumbles, etc. If you're not picking up those points from those, you're picking up points from them not scoring, So may just be a good defense to go with this week. Now, I know you got to be thinking, well, what do I do about the flex position? Hello, I gave you honorable mentions for tight end, wide receiver, running back. So if you have the space, the cap room to pick one of those honorable mentions, throw them in your flex. Now, as always, I'm going to tell you guys, feel free to like, feel free to dislike, feel free to comment, and feel free to subscribe. You can do all those things, and you can do them below. And again, thanks, and tune in again for next week.